Hey everybody, it's Ricardo Gorski from offplan.one, and in this video we are going to talk about the secrets from Cyprus developers and what they don't want you to know about. So let's start right away with the first point, which is that every single project launch, so as soon as the developer has a plot and the confirmation, the architectural plan and the planning permission that they want to launch a new apartment complex, villa, community project on this specific plot, then in almost all cases they have a private launch with a first price list, which you will most likely never see. And this first private launch will then sell the best units with the best sea views, for example, the lowest prices, so studios, for example, that are being sold for under 200,000 euros, and those specific units are allocated to the private circle of the developers. And this practice in itself is actually nothing special. In most countries, the developers work the exact same. But this means for you as an investor that you don't really find the best deals online, for example. You actually get invited to them. And the answer is, who gets those invitations? Well, it is definitely reputable and connected agents that work in Cyprus with the developers for many years, and easy investors. What do I mean with easy investors? I could also use the word big investors, people and also family offices, of course, that manage millions and millions of euros, portfolios, this and that get presented a few units, a few numbers. They analyze it. In some cases, they don't even do that, and they just put a lot of smart money into there because they are thinking long term and they are thinking like a big institutional investor instead of someone that is buying their first one-bedroom apartment and wants to negotiate for weeks or even months. And so obviously, if you're competing with such sharks, then by the time you actually see a property that you want to buy or invest in yourself, it is already too late because the best units, as said, are gone immediately. And so what the average investor is left with across the world, by the way, is public websites which have the leftovers, the units that stay on the market for a few weeks, months, because they are nice, yeah, if you think long term, but they are not like an urgent, absolute steal deal that you need to invest in today. And on the other hand, you have the private circle which will buy the prime units at the lowest prices. And so obviously the goal of every investor should be to get access to those exclusive markets through trusted connections. And now it's getting interesting because the second secret is actually the infamous price margin of Cyprus developers, which is approximately, obviously depending from developer to developer, which materials they use, which subcontractors they use, if they do the construction themselves, this and that, many factors that come into play that we are happy to explain in an individual consultation call, but it is approximately 20 to 40%. And now it's getting interesting because a lot of people think that if you come to Cyprus directly and you go to the pop-up stores of the developers, you visit the offices, or you just inquire via their online websites, that they can save commissions. However, in reality, it looks different because actually what the developers do in most cases is that they keep the commission as an extra margin. And don't get me wrong, I'm not here to talk bad about Cyprus developers and kill their reputation. Not at all. This is actually public information. I'm not the first person saying that. However, as someone that is trusted by a lot of people that want to relocate to Cyprus, I actually feel the obligation to say this on my channel. And also it is not guessing. It is not like I'm thinking this is the case. We actually have insider information because my co-founder worked inside a developer company for a long time. And what he has seen over and over again, and what he will also tell you in an individual consultation call if you reach out to us on offplan.one, is that the best case scenario in most cases is that you will get a furniture package worth 10,000 euros for free. Congratulations for that. But now let's look at the price. What are you paying for that? And that is that you are navigating a confusing market completely alone without an independent opinion, which is actually exactly what the developers want. It is confusing for a reason because confusion is profitable. A confused buyer is someone who makes emotional decisions. They are naive. They just want to trust someone so bad. And this leads to a lot of investors buying the wrong properties, spending more money than they initially wanted, it, and unfortunately quite often just buying something that they will regret later on. And so this leads to the fact that developers more often than not actually sell a dream. And the reality is that a lot of big developers, the ones that have a big portfolio of units, they also have a lot of buyers, and you are just dealing with a sales agent, and you unfortunately are not very special, even though the salesperson makes you feel like it. They will say whatever you want to hear, not what you need to hear. They are overly confident in their own skills, in the development company that they work for, and quite opinionated about the other development companies that they don't work for. And a classic example which we hear over and over again is that plot in front or next to our project will never be built on. Sure, just until the moment that it will be built on. And this is just one example, depending on the location, materials used, surroundings, neighborhoods, cities, this and that. There are many more things that you should definitely ask questions about, because there are certain things that they actively tell you, which are great, but also certain things that they actively don't tell you. And so a very good test is to just tell the developer, okay, put that into the contract, and then watch their reactions. If you're asking them to put into the contract that they guarantee that the plot in front or next will never be built on. And if this promise can't be written down, then it was never a promise in the first place. And again, this is no front towards anyone. Relax if you are a Cyprus developer, and also this is not a sales pitch. I'm literally just doing a YouTube video telling my honest opinion, so please relax everyone. And now, the final secret is that independence is leverage. What do I mean by that? Developers usually push what they need to sell. If they have units that are on the market for quite some time, they obviously want to sell this first. So if you ask the developer, what do you recommend? Maybe they just show you their worst unit that they absolutely want to get rid of because they know no one else will buy it, instead of giving you that super secret investment opportunity. Whilst at offplan.one, we currently hold no inventory, which means that we have no pressure to sell or not sell. We are a media company and a relocation service providing company in the first place, and we have business regardless. However, at the same time, we do have this access to launch lists across developers and cities, and we are not tied to a specific portfolio. I'm living in Cyprus for 7 years now. I'm one of the biggest influencers about relocating to Cyprus, and developers know that, so they obviously give me access to the best deals that they have. And more importantly, what we do with our tax.one lawyers is that we check every single claim. We do a huge due diligence process with every single partner that we intend to work with. We check the contracts, the developers' track record, if they have loans at the bank, and the price per square meters to find out if they have a fair valuation. And that is why at offplan.one you get what you need and what makes sense, what has the highest ROI, because our job is to protect your money while the developer's job is to sell units. And even though this video was a bit on the heavier side, I'm absolutely confident in everything that I said. And if you want to work with us, make sure to reach out to us on offplan.one, and then we will speak very soon.